Peace and healing, peace and healing. It is Twilight. The title of this video is The Real and Complete Facts About Narcissists. Now, I was actually going to drop this video around April, but I ended up, sitting on it and then re-recording it and then kind of discarding it. But now I feel that I have a full and complete dialogue to provide for you guys. Well, maybe more like a monologue, but nonetheless, I have full and complete information to provide for you all. And I think that this will wrap up the series quite nicely. And for those of you who haven't seen the other videos, you can find that all in my video playlist, along with other inspiring videos. That said, I'm going to hop right into it. Now, for the most part, we see narcissists as these predators, just going around seeking to destroy other people. And while that can be a result of their behavior, I would rather you fully understand the mechanics of the way they operate, relinquishing the power that you may have given a narcissist in your life. The DSM-5, we're just going to go with the DSM-5 for now, has 9 different traits that they consider to be narcissists. None of us are psychologists, but we can identify narcissists by certain traits like these. They tend to cluster in these particular categories. The behavior and the outcome is the same, and the damage tends to be the same. But just for the sake of argument, since none of us is really qualified to deem someone narcissistic, we can talk about narcissistic tendencies and how deeply rooted they are. So one thing is grandiosity. They feel that they are the center of the universe. You need to be putting them on a pedestal 24/7. While you sleep, you need to be putting them on a pedestal. If you see them walking around and the bottom of their socks is dirty, you need to tell them how amazing they look in dirty ass socks. These people really believe that they are truly magnificent. They're the sun, the moon, and the stars, okay? Or at least that's what they want to be reflected back into them from other people. That's important to note. Reflected back into them from other people. Okay, make sure you hold on to that little nugget. The other thing is they're entitled. And when I say entitled, think of the cliche, what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. That's a narcissist. They believe that whatever you have belongs to them, and whatever they have belongs to them. And you get nothing. And if they decide to give you something, then be grateful. But otherwise, they should have everything. And it doesn't even matter if it's your talent. Hell, if you could sing, they think that they should be able to have control over your voice. If you are intelligent, they should be able to have control over your intelligence, or even take your intelligence from you and graft it onto them. If you are creative, if you are able to speak in front of a crowd, whatever gifts and talents you have, whether it is material or it is a part of your personality, they should be able to have access to it because they are entitled, okay? You should be able to give up all your time. You should never, ever, ever complain. And you should want to pour into them constantly and ask for nothing for yourself. That's how entitled they are. But we're going to talk about why they are entitled like this as we go on. Okay? Controlling. They make the rules. They tell you what to do, how to do, when to live, how to speak. That is how controlling these people are. It is to the point of unreasonable and insane. That is how much control these people need. Well, if you didn't guess from the first 3 categories, you are here and only here to serve their needs. They believe that everybody, it doesn't matter if it's their mother, father, sister, auntie, cousin, dog, cat, trees, ground, whatever it is, okay? They will exploit any and everyone in their lives. Now, remember when I said earlier, they are looking for you to reflect certain things about them back into them. And this is where the exploitation comes in at. But the exploitation is generally an act of a desperation, because if you don't know by now, narcissists deal with a great level of shame and even greater level of self-hatred. Okay? So much so to the point where, if you think of it like this, self-hatred is as real to them as your arm is to you. So when you look at your arm, how it is a part of you, that self-hatred is a part of them. It is an extension of them. They believe it to be as real to them as your arm is to you. So with that said, they can't bear to look at themselves. They need to construct an identity outside of the one that they have already felt that they have been burdened with. So to construct that identity outside of themselves, in order to do that, they have to have people in place operating and behaving the way that they want them to. As long as they have the people in place that's operating and behaving the way that they want them to, this goes ahead and fortifies that illusion. It creates that reality for them. Now, they are so vehemently attached to their illusion that they will fight tooth and nail to create this illusion no matter where they go. So if it requires them to exploit people and discard them if they are not playing along with the little game or the play that they have constructed in their mind, then so be it. Because of the hatred that they have for themselves, they simply cannot bear to relinquish the fact that that might not be true. This idea that you're this great and powerful person that's so beautiful that the world loves, because the alternative to that is some sort of deep depression, potentially being suicidal, and potentially just deteriorating, because they have nothing other than this burdensome energy of self-hatred. And that's what separates your garden variety asshole, fuckboy, or fuckgirl from a narcissist. The feelings of self-hatred. Now, one might say, especially if you're an empath, or you've grown to be a caretaker, or you have some sort of sentimentality or a religious church filled mindset, well, I can love them back to wholeness. I can get them to see a different way in life. And while that is all quite noble from the outside looking in a sense, it's not. Because we live in a world. Let me just separate you. Let me just pull away from the emotionalism of trying to see good in people. We live in a world where everyone is entitled to their free will. Okay? Now, the one thing that a narcissist does is they come in your life and they say, I want to feel important, powerful, special, intelligent, beautiful, and like the greatest thing in the world. So I'm going to do everything I can up into creating chaos, calamity, stealing your gifts from you, making you feel low, shame, in order to prop me up, put me on a pedestal, use you as an emotional dumpster, garbage can, lie to you, mistreat you, all of these things so that I can project this reality that isn't really real onto you. And everyone goes, oh, this is so horrible. They're projecting this negativity. They're treating everybody bad. Oh, that's terrible. But they're projecting, right? So if we relinquish judgment from what's being projected, we understand that a projection is happening, right? So we're going to relinquish judgment for a while. We're just going to look at the mere fact that they're projecting onto you what they want to see in the world. You, who wants to see good in the world, who wants to have a loving relationship, who wants to have a loving parent, who wants to believe that this person at the church really means you well, who wants to believe that politicians really mean you well, who wants to believe that I live in a loving world. You too are projecting. Now, it matters not the content of what you are projecting. The fact is that you are projecting onto another person, which means that you are overriding their free will. So the narcissist is projecting, and you and your self-righteousness is projecting. Now, the fact that we prefer to project good onto people, it matters not. It's still a projection. So ultimately, when you get in that mindset that's telling you, oh, you know what, I could save them, I could change them, you're projecting. Take a step back and look at what is really happening. This is how you move away from what we call cognitive dissonance, because you take a step back so that you can fully see what's really happening and look at it factually and not put your 2 cents in it. Oh, well, we had such good times and everything was so beautiful at one point. You're projecting. Step back and look at it hindsight 2020. What do you see? Okay, look at the whole picture. Don't get caught up in parts. So, with a narcissist, you must understand that they have no sense of self, and everything that they are is something that they extract from other people. Okay? Now, again, there are people out there that'll say, okay, fine, I'm not going to project onto the narcissist. I'm going to take them to a therapist. The therapist is skilled in this. They can help them. They help other people with cluster B personalities. Cool. But listen to this analogy too as well. So when people take a narcissist to a therapist, you would think that they could be fixed. Because if I tell you, okay, they're dealing with a lot of self-hatred, shame, you say, okay, this is a deeply wounded person. Wounds heal. I'll take them to the therapist to get healing. Sounds like a great idea, right? But let's talk about short-term disabilities and permanent disabilities. Okay? So, if I'm driving down the street in the forest and I hit a small deer and his leg breaks, he had 2 working legs beforehand. His leg breaks, he gets nursed back to health, he can walk again. He goes back to the way he was before. I'll use myself as an example. I was born legally blind. So, if someone gives me a pair of glasses, that does not correct my vision to 20/20. Okay? I will never have perfect vision. That said, I'm still going to have challenges with things such as seeing long distances or contrast or whatever the culmination of what my legal blindness is, because I had it since birth. So it can't be corrected. I could only learn how to work with it. With that said, I'm always going to be low vision, which is something that I had to learn to accept about myself, which allowed me room to be able to do other things. Similarly, with the narcissist, think of it as a permanent emotional disability. That's the best way to conceptualize it, because whenever the narcissistic wound occurred, They were way too young to have had a personality. So everything about their personality is from that space of woundedness. Trust. Okay? Everything about their personality is from that space of woundedness. Most likely, when they were wounded, they were babies. In the sense of they were toddlers, they were 4 or 5 years old, they were severely young before they even truly had a full out identity of who they are. And so everything that they developed on top of that was so that they could cope with the pain that they were feeling at that time, which was probably too great for them to even bear as a child. So they had to figure out a way. And that is also the reason why they go around collecting people like toys and using those people to get a sense of themselves. They want you to reflect back to them what they need in life. That is why it's so magical when you first meet a narcissist. Because during the love bombing stage, they're putting you on a pedestal and you're putting them on a pedestal. And both of you all are feeding off of that high energy of we both the shit. And lo and behold, that's exactly what the narcissist needs. Now, as time goes on and you start to see things aren't always adding up and some of the stuff sounds contradictory and your behavior was really out of whack here, and what about this tantrum that you had and you kind of blew up over something small, and you start to see who they are, they already ready to gaslight you, to make you feel like what you're saying is just completely ridiculous. Why? Because they've been here before. This is their MO. This is what they do. So they're already ready to gaslight you because they don't want to see themselves. And you were reflecting back to them happily during the love bombing phase, reflecting back to them what they felt made them look great, awesome, wanted, powerful, loved. That's why they move so intensely to enmesh with you. Because what they're trying to do, oftentimes, as crazy as it seems, is steal your gifts. Why are they trying to steal your gifts? Because they are in an infantile consciousness emotionally. So when an infant is born, like my little baby nephew right now, his mom was sleepy the other day, but he was ready to feed, and she's breastfeeding. So she can't go, oh, baby, I'm sleepy. Let mommy sleep. I will, feed you later. No. Give me that titty now, mama. I need my nourishment. I need my milk. I want it now. And guess what? Sick and all, mama got to give it to him. Because that's the way that an infant's mind works. So whatever wound occurred for the narcissist, they were too young to have formed a personality. So you take them to therapy or whatever have you. All the therapy can do is teach them techniques, but they will never make the connections that will make them fully a mature human. So you're always going to have to deal with that. This is why they go out and they get supply. Because one person might be giving them the feelings of feeling strong and powerful. Oh, he or she has a lot of status and wealth, so I'm going to hang around them to grab that. This other person over here, they are so kind and altruistic and they're always in charities, so I'm going to hang around them to get that type of energy reflected back from them to me, from them. Or I'm going to hang around this other person who I can do drugs around and be nothing around or be horrible around, and they're still going to worship the ground I walk on because they're beneath me. This makes me feel powerful. Truthfully, unfortunately, like I was saying earlier, you want to think that they are just like these horrible creatures that are out to just destroy everybody. But really what it is that they are people with no identity. And so everything they do is a calculated step to extract from people what they need and cannot create within themselves. That is a sad, sad existence. Living from that place of woundedness. Can't anybody have a fucking thing for a narcissist? Why do you get to have your bachelor's degree? Well, I went 4 years to college. That's why I have it. Why do you get to have a nice house? Why do you get to drive a nice car? Well, I did all these things that required some level of focus in order to achieve it. And this is why they become so overwhelmed with jealousy, so overwhelmed with hate and spite. In fact, people of status that don't even know the narcissist pays them no attention, completely indifferent about them, will trigger the narcissist just by not acknowledging their existence. They have to go out and find a way to make themselves feel special and important and intelligent and powerful at all times. That's why their partners can't live in peace. How is it that you go to work every day and you work for this great company, and I'm here and I'm stuck here at this job, and I hate my job and I hate my boss, and it's mediocre and it doesn't make me feel powerful? They don't want to be anywhere that cannot feed that need for them. They need to be fed that need for feeling special, important, powerful, great, magnificent, like a superstar at all times. That's why you will always see a narcissist gravitate towards fame. You will see a narcissist gravitate towards politics. You will see a narcissist gravitate towards anything that puts them in the limelight, or even if they don't need to be in the limelight, just fulfilling that need for them. Whether they're collecting people's energies and bodies, or they're collecting attention and praise, it matters not. These people continuously need to feed that, and you can't have a fucking thing for a narcissist. They will suck you dry of everything you have, trying to fill that bottomless pit inside of them, because they cannot sustain for themselves the emotional resources that they so desperately crave, and spend a unprecedented amount of time in the world trying to extract it from external things. So with that said, when you are dealing with the narcissist, the real is that you're the one who is victorious. I don't give a shit how much they spend a life where it appears like they are, moving on with the next person, and they're just living it up, and they in Cancun and Dubai and all of that. That person is being used, okay? Because they don't have it in them to be able to have a relatable relationship. Even with their children, they don't have it in them. It doesn't spark change inside of them, because they are looping and are stuck in a never-ending pattern of a wounded, very wounded, small child. So no matter what they have accomplished, no matter who they do, no matter how it looks, they are still going to be spending their life running from that feeling of self-hatred, shame, and woundedness. So whether or not they ran to something that makes you feel inadequate, it matters not. Understand that forever and a day, as long as they live in this third dimensional plane, they will always be running from it. And the way in which they choose to run from it, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. They're still running. So in conclusion, just say when you are going through the healing process with the narcissist, it is easy to really, really hate them and really, really despise them and everything that they are. But when you clearly see what's going on inside of them, it is very difficult to hate somebody like that. You pity them. And then when you see the antics and the things that they do day in and day out, you just, it's totally a waste of your time to even have those types of negative feelings. Although I recommend when you do have them, you work through them, but don't let them live with you. Okay. In addition to that, I highly suggest doing shadow work, doing healing work, and healing your codependency. In fact, I have some great resources and materials. You could just check the link in the description. And I have ebooks, I have e-courses. So with that being said, there's really great people all over YouTube land, in the psychological world, all over this universe that can help you to garner the best information that resonates with your soul. Peace and healing.